You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All of our recruiting segments here on the Locked On Network are brought to you by LinkedIn. Go to linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Again, linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So Floyd Boucard, a player who has been kind of all over the map, both literally and predictively as well. All the predictions have just kind of been all over the place. But on Wednesday night, the Sooners seemingly got a little bit of a foot in the door as Tom Loy and, I'm blanking on the other dude's name.
It's Brandon Doan, Dohn, as
there
well as Colin Kennedy.
All right. So you got three of them, one local, one Tom Loy, who, man, he's been pretty accurate of late. He has not missed as far as I've been able to tell. He had the offensive lineman that just committed to Missouri.
Lamont Rogers.
Yeah, he had Lamont Rogers going to Mizzou kind of there at the end. So Floyd Boucard, 3-star in most places, a 4-star over at Rivals, top 20 interior defensive line prospect, 6'3", 315 pounds, a dude that would be a difference maker for the Oklahoma Sooners.
Absolutely. And the one thing about him, he's consensus and composite 3-star. So he's 3-star on 3 on their consensus piece. Same thing with 247, 4-star for Rivals. But the one thing I like to preach sometimes when it comes to I'd like to preach overall when it comes to star ratings is to not only look at the stars, but look at the offer list. Look at what teams actually have interest in said recruit. And now this one, my goodness, his list is long. So for him to be considered a 3-star, prospect, it's crazy to see that Alabama's up there. In his top 4, he had Alabama, Oklahoma, USC, and Miami, right? So he's like, okay, cool. That sounds interesting. Who else is the ones that jump out? Well, when you go down this list, you've got Florida State. You've got Georgia. You got Cincinnati, who's put out some pretty good defensive linemen, especially over the last few years. LSU, Louisville. You've got Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Missouri, Oregon, South Carolina, right? Auburn, Arkansas. Basically, most of the SEC. Michigan State's on the list. All the schools that you would expect to go after a high caliber and a defensive lineman with a lot of upside, they're on the list of offers. That means that they all had him on their radar, and they recognize it because I think the reason why he's there at 3-star, he's from Montreal, Quebec. He's from Canada. And he just moved to Miami Central, I think this coming season, to play football. He's played hockey most of his life, so he's super physical. Those dudes are physical. And he hasn't been playing football for very long. He's got like 2 years of football under his belt? Makes sense for people to have questions, but walking in at a roughly 6'3", 315 pounds, oh yeah, he's a player that you want to have, especially in the SEC. He has a leg up just because he already has the size. Playing hockey, he's probably got the strength to go along with it. And yeah, Oklahoma wins this one. Whew, this is a nice W.
Yeah, and this is a kid. If you played hockey or roller hockey or whatever, you understand that conditioning is a huge, huge component to playing those sports. So I have no doubt that Floyd Boucard is a well-conditioned athlete, and you have to be pretty athletic. You have to be really nimble on your feet. And that's going to be fascinating to watch, to see what his development looks like, because he's going to have good feet. You have to, because you have to be able to pick up your skates and put them down. You got to be able to be smooth on your feet on the ice. Otherwise you're going to not be able to play. And the fact that he's already going to be coming to the collegiate level with good feet, now it's just a matter of working on hand technique, hand placement, playing with leverage, all that stuff. But again, a lot of those things will have come from playing hockey, playing with leverage, being able to stay on your stick while somebody's draped all over you. That kind of stuff matters. Also, I can't imagine Floyd Boucard coming down the ice at me as I'm playing goalie and the dude's about to shoot on me, or if I'm a forward trying to get into the zone and he's playing defense. That just sounds ridiculous. Hopefully one day we get to ask him about that, because I grew up, like, I'm a hockey fan, like aficionado, got to see Gretzky in the Great Western Forum with the LA Kings in the Stanley Cup playoffs back in 1993. Like, love hockey, love hockey. family loves hockey. My dad grew up in the Northeast. So one day I will ask Floyd Boucard about his hockey experience because that will be super fun. But adding to what Oklahoma's already done along the defensive line, like he would be a really, really great addition. You mentioned the offer sheet. If I was Tony Reale and we were on Around the Horn, I'd be hitting the up button on that every like crazy. Follow the offers. If Alabama is offering, that means something. If LSU is offering, that means something. If Brent Venables is offering, it means something. It means something. These offers mean something. If he's a take for Brent Venables and Todd Bates, it means something. It means that he can play.
Exactly. That's the guarantee, right? He may not camp. That's usually what happens with a lot of guys with lower rankings is they don't camp a lot. Mm-hmm. But somebody saw them and said, "Oh no, that's somebody." And then you see the offer start to rack up of all these schools going after him. Like, "Oh no, we want to throw our name in the hat. Let's see if there's a chance." Yeah, that's where you see that. Even better part about him too is because he's not from that area. Everybody was a heavy lean Miami initially because he's at Miami Central, which is a feeder school to University of Miami. Very common. Miami Central's been sending players outside of that area, outside of University of Miami as of late. But at the same time, he's not from there. He's just there. He's a transplant. So when you have transplants like that, it's not something that's a guarantee that they're going to stay at the local school. And that's something to always keep in mind in recruiting. You got to pay attention to those type of tea leaves. That's the ones I look at. I'm trying to find the detail. What's the one thing that makes me think that nobody has a chance to get them away from the local team? And in this situation, luckily, because he's coming from Canada down, yeah, he's completely fair game for everybody. I mean, he had USC on his list, and that's across the country. So obviously he's just like, I don't mind moving away. Why not? And so luckily I saw that Alabama at one point was surging. I saw a couple notes fly across the X-Bird or whatnot and made me wonder, if it's Alabama going to walk in here and snatch this up. But with the latest set of crystal balls, I'm pretty confident that we're going to see him, rocking the crimson and cream.
Yeah, and this is, again, let's just talk about the defensive line group that Oklahoma's already had created and committed into the 2025 class. You get CJ Nixon, a top 100 player. Kamari Moore at defensive tackle. I think he's kind of this year's Jaden Jackson, a dude that's really flown under the radar. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it because he committed so early and people just kind of quit evaluating him. But I think he has a chance to be a really, really good player. Alexander Shield Knight, in-state kid from out western Oklahoma, and Trent Wilson, the big Marlboro, Maryland defensive tackle as well. So this is a really intriguing group that when you combine it with what you did in 2024, we're starting to see Oklahoma cooking with gas along the defensive line and with what they're doing. And I say just 2024, but go back to 2023 as well with PJ Adebawari and Ashton Sanders and Marcus Strong. Like they've got something cooking right now along the defensive line.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a nice amount of defensive linemen that we got enough projects and we've got the ready-made guys as well, right? So having Dejon Terry as well as Dominic Williams in there, two guys that have proven and played. I mean, Dejon has played in the SEC, being at Tennessee at one point of his career. And then having Dominic, who, playing at TCU, was a freshman All-American, went to the national championship game, was basically the lead person in that middle. You got your veteran presence there, and then you've got the young guys with Jaden Jackson as well as David Stone that just got in there. We'll see what they look like. And then you got guys in the middle that are some projects, some ready to play, Grayson Halton as well as Champ Sanders and Marcus Strong. You've got guys they're some that are learning, but at the same time potentially could be playing. Devon Sears, he's ready to go out there and break out. So we're starting to do a good job of building up that room, and then plus, we're going after players like a Floyd Boucard who gets you 300 pounds walking in the door. You don't have to build him up to that. He's already there. He's ready. He's SEC size. Now he just has to show that he has SEC skill.
Yeah. Now you're going to do the Jerry Schmidt, break you down a little bit, get some of the good weight back on. And I mean, if he's already 315, what's to say he can't be 330 by the time he's an upperclassman at OU?
That's true. Oh,
and
man,
becoming
if he's athletic too, like you said, as a hockey kid, he shows his athleticism. There's a good chance, man. They could probably get him up to 320, 330, and he could be just super nimble and light on his feet. Oh God, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, throw that at nose tackle, and I think you got something really special, potentially with Floyd Boucard. But that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in and being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. Also, go check out the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel over on YouTube. It's now also available on the Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Hey, also, if you're here with us now and you're still listening here deep into the third segment, go check out the Locked On Sooners Insider Program. I will answer your questions. If you throw them out there, you will get a response directly from me. You don't even have to wait. I don't always see the YouTube comments. I don't always see the Twitter replies immediately, but I see your responses, your questions in the Locked On Sooners Insider Program. So you can do that. You can text SEC 2024 to 405-817-6711 to get 25% off your first month. Again, that's 405-817-6711. Text SEC 2024 to get 25% off your first month in the Locked On Sooners Insider Program. We'll do special Q&As for our Locked On Sooners Insiders specifically. We have great content over there as well. Go check it out. Again, 405-817-6711. Follow Jay on Twitter at Unfair Sports. Follow myself at John 9 Williams. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all the socials. But again, thank you so much for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. But until next time, he's Jay. I'm John. Boomer Sooner.